Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40k Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Now, I tallied up all the votes, and the next Chaos God to be talked about is Nurgle. I was pleasantly surprised by how awesome his lore is. So let's get into 40 Facts About Nurgle. Nurgle, also known as the Plague Lord, is the chaos god of disease, decay, and destruction, in particular the emotion of despair. He is known as Grandfather Nurgle, the Lord of Pestilence and the Lord of Decay. He is the oldest of the four chaos gods and is the most directly involved with the plight of mortals, particularly humans who suffer so acutely from the fear of death. While Nurgle is the god of death and decay, he is also the god of rebirth. After all, decay is simply one part of the cycle of life, without which no new life could grow. Nurgle is also the god of perseverance and survival. While those who wish to spread decay and corruption are certainly amongst his followers, there are also those who wish to endure, to become tough enough to handle the difficulties and opportunities presented by the uncaring universe full of sickness and disease. To understand what might otherwise seem contradictory or even perverse in nature, one must first comprehend that which Nurgle embodies. The citizens of the Imperium know full well that their lives will end one day, and that for many of their kin, life will be full of disease or other torments, yet they drive this knowledge deep into the corner of their minds and bury it with dreams and ceaseless activities. When a sick man understands the inescapable truth that death is coming, but refuses to die and instead endures the boils, scars, and pain because he fears death, that perseverance is an often overlooked fuel source for Nurgle, the unconscious response of all the sentient beings to the knowledge of their own ending. Nurgle himself takes the form of a titanic flesh hulk riddled with decay and pestilence. His gigantic carcass is bloated with corruption and exudes an overpowering stench that gnaws at the mind. His skin is greenish, leathery, and neurotoxic, its surface abundant with running sores, swelling boils, and fruitful infestations. Nurgle's gurgling and pulsating organs are rank with the excrements of decay, spilling and spurting through its ruptured skin to hang like obscene fruit through his girth. From these organs burst swarms of tiny Nurglings that chew at Grandfather Nurgle's rotting intestines and suck upon his bountiful noxic fumes. Every single human being in the galaxy has been touched by Nurgle's hand at some point. Countless trillions are host to malignant, invisible creations, which corrupt their physical form and sow despair in their minds. Interplanetary traffic ensures that contagious diseases are carried from world to world by the ignorant, the willful, and the strong. As Nurgle's gift multiply in full-blown epidemics, his power reaches a peak. Whole star systems, even whole sectors, are quarantined as plague runs rife across the stars. Proud civilizations wither away, even as Grandfather Nurgle conjures obscene new life from their remains. Wherever there are plague pits and mass graves, the rotting splendor of Nurgle shines through. Nurgle's sacred number is 7. His colors are those of rot and ruin, waste and vomit, mucus and pus. He is represented by the color of green and brown, the most putrid variation of each. Nurgle also embodies the will of mankind to struggle no matter what opposes it. Suffering, death, pain. Human beings push these things from their mind and try to forget them by living in the moment in the hopes that the future will be a better one. It has recently been uncovered by the Eldar Harlequins that Nurgle is in possession of the Eldar goddess Isha, who he rescued from Slaanesh's imprisonment, and he imprisoned her within his realm in the warp. Nurgle utilizes her for his experiments, creating a new disease to spread into the material universe. With her divine power of healing, Isha quickly regenerates from these tests, although Nurgle gathers what information he desires from the temporary effects. It is said that she secretly whispers the cures to those diseases to the mortals of the universe. Of the 4 great ruinous powers, Nurgle is said to be one of the most involved with the plights of mortals. Through the gift of raging fever and shaking chills, Nurgle's hand is upon them from cradle to grave. Few can escape the touch of Nurgle in their lives. He is sometimes called the Lord of All, because all things, no matter how strong and secure, fall to physical corruption and entropy in the end. The whispered prayer of a parent over a fever-struck child, the anguished pleas of a dying man for one more day of life, those are meat and drink to Nurgle. No life avoids decay, not even the false emperor. With all his deluded sacrificial supplicants and thousands of attending priests, none can elude the ravage of time and his eventual demise. The question is, what happens when the end comes? Nurgle is the answer to that question. Each inevitable ending brings with it an equal certain start to something new. When a Catachan spiker traps and consumes a careless Imperial Guardsman, the life of the soldier ends, and a new spiker grows. There is no ending that does not result in the hope of renewal. Truly, there is no being, no action, or outcome that does not further Nurgle's aims. In truth, Nurgle could simply sit back and wait for the universe to unfold according to his design. He is not content, however, to wait. He has too much energy, too much enthusiasm for his work to just sit idly by. From deep within his crevice, he brews contagions, both physical plagues and horrible ideas, and he and his followers then unleash them upon the mortal realm. He welcomes the resistance of those who attempt to deny him, for each time they erect defenses against his advances, he learns new ways to circumvent the opposition. Each cure breeds a newer, more powerful disease. Records of many sentient races of the galaxy often say that Nurgle corrupts, that he brings destruction to all. To a small extent they are correct, but their evaluation is narrow in scope and fail to grasp the greater truth. The more primitive races have a much better understanding of the undeniable nature of the Master of Certitude. Life is struggle and erosion. To face the dawn is to await the dusk, and in return, to endure the night. On a grand scale, if a being had a luxury of observing the rise and fall of empires, of seeing the birth of the suns, and their eventual collapse into swirling masses of cosmic destruction, the observer would surely recognize the rightful place of Nurgle as the shepherd of destiny. It is only Nurgle's fondness of rot for disease and decay that prevents more from accepting his truth. It can be difficult for a mortal to accept that the rotting of a limb or the explosion of his entrails is a blessing. Even the decrepit Emperor of Man, who is enslaved on his golden throne, sits as a testament of Nurgle's greatness. Each day 1,000 souls give their fleshy bodies and immortal souls to this false idol in a vain attempt to preserve his rotting presence. It is a losing battle, but the ammunition spent in the conflict, the human bodies sent to their wasted doom, does indeed serve a purpose. Nurgle's purpose. Each mortal that falls sustains new life and new hope. Over the course of their lives, mortals sustain injuries, become infested, sickened, and succumb to their wounds, or more simply, to age. It is impossible to escape deterioration, and yet people try. It is the embracing grandfather who encourages these followers to defy the doom of mortal corruption and instead use it as a source of strength and inspiration. All Chaos Gods have a dual nature, but Nurgle, more so than any other, understands that the supposedly separate elements of his essence actually work together in a self-sustaining cycle, rather than standing apart from one another as different explanations of the same thing. The seers of the Elder Craft Worlds and the Inquisition will never share this truth with the weak-minded fools who drink in their lies like mother's milk. For a Lord of Chaos, Nurgle's actions seem oddly harmonious, caring even. To receive the blessing of Nurgle, all one has to do is want to live and be willing to do whatever it takes to cling to life. If decay comes at the hands of Nurgle, via the thrust of a rusted blade or the unleashing of a plague, many will curse his name, for those who are unable to see that this pain and suffering lifts the veil that hides the truth of life and death. Some blessed mortals are able to look beyond the putrescine and see the decay of what is, a gift from the Lord of all. This gift, regardless of the form it takes, opens eyes even as it liquefies them. It simultaneously atrophies the leg muscles of its recipients and gives them strength to march forward to greatness. Nurgle's great ambition to speed this universe toward its end by eroding the foundations of reality, much as disease has eroded the spirit and bodies of those he infests. There will come a time when reality will collapse entirely, and the universe will begin a massive transformation. The old ways will be swept aside. All that was will cease to be, and from the rot and ruins, a new glorious reality will emerge, one dominated by Nurgle and his beloved children. Few who pledge themselves to Nurgle do so in the belief that he offers an easy path to power and glory. He does not promise increased influence, brutal strength, or hedonistic excess like his fellows. Most mortals who find their way into Nurgle's embrace wish only for an end to some sort of suffering. And those were 40 facts about Nurgle. Now, of course, this was just part 1. I felt like I was preaching to you guys the word of Grandfather Nurgle. In the next videos, part 2 and maybe even part 3, we're going to be talking more about his lesser demons he can spew out and the greater demons that are out there causing ruckus in the 40k universe. So please subscribe to the channel to get part 2. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for liking, commenting, and sharing this with your friends. Thank you for making One Mind Syndicate as awesome as it is. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.